Good morning, Five Star. Happy holidays to everybody. We are coming in on December 24th, 25th, and a new year. Can you believe it's already happening?
Cannot. That's
Cannot.
amazing. That's amazing.
Coming
Jeez.
fast.
It
Yeah, so
sure
we
is.
hope everybody is taking a little time to enjoy being with friends, family, or resting, or just taking a little holiday break. So today we're excited to be here with the famous Doug Hale.
Ah, hey, the famous Doug Hale. I love it. I love it. Keep saying those things. Keep saying those things. I love to hear that. So
Yep. And we also have Luke Llewellyn from Big Lake Lending. Hi, Luke.
yay,
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
yay.
Yeah. Good to have you with us today. So today we want to just get to know Luke a little bit better, find out what it is that you do and why you do it here at Five Star. What are the advantages of working with an in-house lender? And we just want to get to know a little bit about you and your services here with us. It's a joint venture with Five Star, right?
Yep.
So first, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So where to start, as you said, my name is Luke. I joined the mortgage industry in 2012, where I started in the processing world. So I kind of got to learn from the ground floor up of how a loan gets from, the beginning all the way to the wonderful part that we all like, which is the closing.
Yes.
And kind of got a unique way of seeing that because I was able to work in that world. But yeah, that's kind of my mortgage thing. What I think I'm most proud of is I have been married to my wife Katie for almost 11 years now. We have two little boys, Levi and Jude, that are 5 and almost 2 years old.
Keeping you running, big guy. Keeping you running, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
They keep me on my toes at all times. I actually, my favorite job of my life thus far, I was just a soccer coach of a under 6 soccer team for my son.
Oh,
And
fun.
if you want to talk about a hard job, that is it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
I remember watching 6-year-olds play baseball. It's a hoop.
That's it.
They're fun when they're that age, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the two main parts of me, mortgages and family. That's kind of what I do. It fills all of my schedule.
It fills it all, right? Right.
Hey, Luke, something you said at a coffee hour once when we met, I think it was in Muskegon, and you were talking about this process. And so often when people get into real estate, they don't understand. They're pretty intimidated by the mortgage process, right? And again, lots of times they don't even know some of the questions to ask. And I think that's where, your presentation was really effective because it gave people an understanding of what happens now. Well, what happens next? Well, what happens then? I mean, and again, it's one of those things that I think we can't explain that enough especially to some of our new agents that feel intimidated when it comes to mortgages. And I really appreciated the fact that you did take the time to kind of walk through that with all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important. I mean, obviously, communication in this business is everything. The more communication, the more that everyone is on the same page, the smoother the process is going to go, even if, there are some things that come out of left field that happens with deals. And understanding the process and having a loan officer and a realtor or agent that can explain the process of, okay, we're going to make an offer. Okay, we're going to get the document signed. Okay, we're going to get you pre-approved before we make the offer, so that the lender and the underwriter has an understanding of the file, which is just going to speed us through the process when we get there. It brings so much strength to what we're able to help and provide for people, because whether it's your first time buying a house or whether you've bought several homes, you forget the process every single time. Like, it's not like this is just an, ABC 1, 2, 3. I know exactly how this works. People that come to us, they don't understand, okay, well, why are you asking for this? Why are you asking for that? And
Right.
being able to communicate upfront, hey, we're going to ask a lot of questions. These are the documents that we're going to ask for. After we get these documents, sometimes it uncovers more things that we're going to need to ask for. So if
Yeah.
you're able to work with us, stay patient with us, I will make sure you know every step of the way where we are, what we need, and how we can get to the place that we all want to get to, is that closing table.
And that's where that communication you just spoke about, it's huge. It's huge.
Mhm.
So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things that I find is my number one don't want to do in lending is get a couple days before closing day and have something come up that delays the closing. How does Big Lake avoid that problem from, and honestly, as an agent, I always question, how did you not know that? Right?
Yeah.
So what does Big Lake do? Because that's a win right there. If you can solve that problem, that's a really good win for agents. So what does Big Lake do differently so that we're not on a closing deadline of 24 or 48 hours and all of a sudden we have an oops?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lender, it really starts at the upfront. It starts at the very beginning. The form that we get filled out at the upfront is called a 1003. That's
Okay.
the URLA. It's got a couple different fancy words. And the joke in our industry is, if more loan officers took a 1003 instead of 1002.5, we would be able to see some of the issues up front as opposed to finding them later. And it just
Okay.
comes down to being thorough. Uh,
Yeah.
really, you doing your due diligence, looking at
You do it in the
everything.
front end,
Yep.
right? You're
Yeah.
doing everything in the front end instead of waiting.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
I think for all of us, it's, we're not trying to rush home buyers or borrowers through and make them feel like they're not important. But in the same breath, we are trying to get this deal done so that we can continue and move on to the next one,
Right.
while giving them
Right.
great service. Because, the more deals that we can get done successfully, the more successful we are.
I like to prep my buyers. We're under contract. We've just gone pending. And now they've made their application. And I always get the call, oh my goodness, how much more documentation do they need? And you get that, right, Doug? You
Yeah, I
get
had
that?
that this morning, and the lady goes, "My word, what are they asking for? They want my firstborn, they want my blood type, they want no, they don't want all that, but they want to be thorough and detailed." So
And we're just trying to get everything up front. Sooner you get that, the sooner get that over to your lender, the sooner things keep progressing, and we're avoiding problems later.
yeah,
So I think it's really important to explain that to our buyers. So we have a lot of lending friends. We've been doing business 20 years, 30 years. We get a call from a lender every week wanting to take us to lunch. We've been doing that for years and years and years, right?
mhm.
So tell us how Big Lake is different and what you offer that maybe they don't offer, or what it would be the advantage of giving Big Lake an opportunity when we are being swarmed, especially right now. Lenders don't have that much business. They have a lot of time and our phones are ringing. Talk to us
Yeah.
about that.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it all comes down to the partnership. It comes
Okay.
down to, the Carlsons launched Big Lake Lending as an expression of Five Star, so that we can continue to see Five Star grow and keep the culture that it has. So Big Lake really comes beside Five Star as a tool, and as a support to make Five Star continually grow into the greatness that it already is, but continuing. And, being a partner allows us some different abilities as a lender, because we can work together on a different level to get people qualified, and we can be more competitive with rates because of our partnership. We can be more competitive with some of our pricing because we are in this together. And I think it really does bring a different strength to your belief in Big Lake and even your belief in me, because the name that is behind us, and that has, very humbly chosen me to help spearhead and run this side of the lending.
Yeah, I've often said it's all about that customer experience, right? And the experience is, again, this is where it begins at the beginning, with introducing the right people, the right processes, all of those things. And Kim, you'd agree with that too. I mean, what your client's looking for is your leadership in this to be able to direct that process. And I think that's huge in this. And we don't do enough of that as agents, and we need to get better at that.
Right. How I always feel when I have a buyer is I want to do my job and I just want to know you have your job done. That's it. Just get me the closing table, right?
Yeah.
There's a problem, I want you to fix it. You don't have to call me unless there's an alarm that I really have to make some. I just want you to do your job, because there's a lot of moving parts in a transaction. You have inspections, you have title, you have lending. There's so many easements that show up. There's so many things that come during that transaction, that one of the things I value is handing it to you, know it's done, right? Just know you got it.
Yeah.
And you're not calling me to panic every single time there's something. You just handle it and it's good, right?
Well, and your client will see that in you, Kim. Well, I mean, if you're confident in all this, they'll see that through you.
Yeah. There are times, I believe, that, we can work together in the middle. Obviously, if you have a confident, lender, they're able to handle most of the issues so that we can stay on track. And there are times where, with certain home buyers, it can be like pulling teeth to get exactly what you need, which is where we can come together as that lender, and I can reach out and say, hey, I've requested this a couple of times. What do we think about, reaching out to them together to get this? But yeah, it's, your confidence in us and your confidence in the lender is huge, because it pours through the home buyer, and it materializes in kind of the culture of the deal. Does everyone trust everyone and believe in everybody, so that we can make sure we do a really good job?
So tell me this, what kind of loans do you offer? Do you just home loans? Well, that's what we're focused on here. So what kind of home loans do you offer? VA, FHA, MISTA, RD, all of them, some of them?
So we offer the majority of what you just said. We are a brokerage, so we work with a couple of different lenders. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop, you could say. With one application and one credit pull, we can pull rates from 4 different lenders to find the best rate. We are residential mortgages.
Residential.
Yeah, residential. And we do have DPA, down payment assistance programs, through some of our lenders. As a brokerage, I don't understand this fully, but as a brokerage, MISTA doesn't like to work with us. And that goes for all state grants. They only work directly with a bank or a direct lender. But we have things that come in alongside of that. If you have somebody that is looking for down payment assistance or needs help, I've found that we might have even better programs. It's just all about getting creative. How can we work together? There's no one size fits all for buyers. So, but yeah, we have your VA, FHA, conventional, your USDA, and then we also have some non-QM and some niche products.
What about like physician loans? We see that sometimes. Do you do those type of products?
Yeah, we have portfolio and DSCR loans. We have something that will fit.
Perfect. And then about how much time does it take you? I know there's different loans out there, but on an average, how much time do you need from the time we go pending to the time to closing?
Obviously this is a very depending on deal. Average
Yeah.
contract time is your 30 days. And 30 days is plenty of time. Our process allows us to get things moving and done in 2 weeks. Especially with a good responsive borrower.
Mhm.
If everything aligned and, appraisal waivers and stuff like that, our process does allow for 7 days.
Wow.
But you don't want to overpromise and
Yeah.
underdeliver.
Under deliver. Yeah.
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 That's the opposite of what you want to do in the lending business, because we kind of got a lot of lenders kind of got a reputation for overpromising and underdelivering. Like, hey, yeah, we're good to go. We're good to close Friday, and then Friday comes around, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
actually,
Right.
and
Mhm.
that's not good for anybody.
Well,
But
it is on a deal to deal basis, because again, it's about your client being able to turn in information and you being able to do things in a timely way. I mean, I get all of that. That makes sense, but it is good to know that, because so often people they don't know what they don't know, right? So they're thinking 30, is it 40 days? Is it more? Is it less? What's that look like? So yeah, I heard you at that coffee. I was talking to some of the agents, and boy, I could see them perk right up, thinking, hey, this is a good thing. This is our brand. This is our 5-star brand. And again, we're able to keep the fees low, do the necessary things that we need to do. And again, that's a huge advantage. It's big.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
It is. So what type of things, I hear you went to the Christmas party. I
Yeah.
unfortunately wasn't there, but fortunately I was in Florida on vacation. So I didn't get to see you there. So how'd that go? Did you have an opportunity to mingle a little bit with some of the agents?
yeah, so one thing that I have just been so impressed with of 5-star is just the culture that seems throughout the entire company. Everyone I talk to has just seemed so bought in good spirits. Even if they already have a lender relationship that they're super happy with and they love their lender, they're still giving me the time and, respecting me and talking to me because of who 5-star is. So I've been really impressed with just the people of 5-star. And it was also really impressive that at that museum, the whale that was hanging from the ceiling, I don't know if anybody saw that. That was absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Nice, nice. So
Well,
one of the things that I really, oops, go ahead, Doug.
well, go ahead. I was just going to say the takeaway for me, and then my wife had the opportunity to talk with you a little bit early on when we were kind of up front. But again, I think the takeaway from a lot of our agents were that, you were listening. You were obviously involved in a lot of conversations that meant a lot to our agents. So that went a long way that night in my mind. So that's great.
One of the things that I really enjoy are your weekly updates. How many times to clients, prospects, people around to say, what's happening in the market? And you're like, let me Google, hang on, what's today's rate, right? Unless you're shopping it, you may not be following it. Now I'm paying closer attention these days.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that email just comes to my inbox. I read through it. You give me some good information. I really like that. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. And we wanted to make it bite-sized to where it's,
Yes.
you don't have to watch a whole thing, or you don't have to feel like you read a novel that day to get an update on this is a couple things of what's going on in the market. And with those, if anybody ever read that email and had a further question, like, well, what does the jobs report mean, or why is the Fed hiking the rate again, or whatever, they can always just reply that email, say, Luke, can you explain this a little bit more? And I'm happy to explain that a little bit more, just so we can continue to grow. And ultimately, hopefully our market knowledge helps people make the decision on wanting to buy or taking that next step.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do as we close out another edition of the 10,000 Club is give us a little bit what happened yesterday, if you would. Tell us, I know that there was a 2:00 meeting. Can you give us a quick update before we sign off today?
Yeah. So yesterday the Feds met again, and a lot of the numbers that are coming back are showing that inflation is cooling. We're seeing the numbers move in the right direction where the projected inflation is coming in lower than what they thought it was going to. So they have done many hikes over the past really 6 months of 0.75. And this was the first time they bumped it down to 0.5, which means that in their opinion, we're seeing the cooling and those hikes are having the right impact that they want them to have.
Okay.
So it really just kind of gives you a forecast of inflation's cooling, the market's picking back up in the way that the Feds want it to. And as we see the market pick up and we see that inflation cool, we'll see the rates come down with it. I have heard several people predict that in Q2 of 2023, that we're going to see rates in that 5% range again.
That would
Which
be great.
would be phenomenal for us. I mean, if we can just speak more inventory into the market as well, 5% rates with some inventory coming back, it could be a really, really great spring for a lot of people.
That's great.
Our goal is, of course, is to get us to a balanced market, and we're seeing inventory rise a little bit because of purchasing being down. Where are we at with rates today? Just your average 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed. Where are we at with those today?
Yeah, so today it's kind of hung out at the same spot. So we see a little bit of reaction because of yesterday's meeting. You typically see an immediate reaction and then it corrects itself. So rates will be at that 6.5 position still today for most of your lenders, just nationwide. And then once it gets over the shock of that hike, we should see some movement in the right direction, which we've seen over 4 weeks. We've really seen some good movement in the lower directions, which, as a lender and as an agent, makes your heart smile.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want you guys to look at me here because I'm not really as old some days as I feel. But when I'm having conversation with the millennials, my 37, 35-year-old daughters, about these rate increases, and they start to go up a little bit, and all of a sudden I don't even know what goes on in their minds. It's kind of like, oh my word, this is not the time to be buying a house. Do you have any idea where these rates are going to go? And of course, the old man in me says, hey guys, I remember making my first house. It was like at 13% or 14%, whatever the number was. And again, so it's about, for me, putting things in perspective with whomever your audience is, whoever you're talking with, whether it's the older folks that understand the rates or the young folks who are just intimidated like crazy with regards to these rate hikes. So isn't it interesting how you have these conversations around rates?
And I think that there's even more to that, because although we have seen, rates, go up in the past year, obviously, especially, from a year and a half ago, where the rates were almost categorically silly to a degree. There's still good opportunity right now because yes, rates, are at that 6.5, or, sometimes even higher depending on credit score or whatever. But we're seeing seller concessions and we're seeing buyers with negotiation powers. We haven't seen that in the past. It was, you better get in early with your best because there are 7 other offers coming right behind you. But right now, have negotiation power, potentially getting seller concessions or a little relief even in the purchase price. And, we can run a comparison of if you have a lesser purchase price with a higher rate, as opposed to waiting to the spring where maybe purchase prices climb back up because the market picks up, but you're going to get that 5 or 5.5. Your monthly payment might end up being the exact same. And monthly payment is king. Rate is important. I understand that. It definitely plays into, everything when it comes to buying a house. But at the end of the day, monthly payment is the most important thing because that's how much you're paying every month.
For sure.
Coming out of your pocket. So there's still an opportunity right now if people, want to make those offers and get out there and, accept the rate, but maybe get the concessions or try to get the price down and, you know, get in before it gets a little crazy in the spring.
That's great advice. You can
Great
always
advice.
refinance later if
Oh.
you should decide to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great.
this is great information. Anything else, Doug or Luke, that
Man,
you'd like to share today or bring up before we sign off?
as I'm saying very few words now. No, I'm still talking rates. I'm still having these kitchen table conversations about rates and what that's going to look like and the reason for them to, again, when people say to me, Doug, nobody's buying or selling in December, and I'm seeing all of these transactions happening in different areas. The conversations we had yesterday in Kalamazoo Portage yesterday, Kim. I mean, there's still people in the trenches buying and selling real estate. And when someone says nobody's moving, that's a wrong answer. There's a lot of people moving.
There's a lot of people moving. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being with us, Luke, and being one of our partners. It's amazing to watch the company grow. We have our title as a partner, Big Lake Lending, Big Lake Insurance. It's just really nice to see all of the opportunities that 5-Star is providing for our agents. And we just really appreciate you being here, and hopefully as the year turns, we're just going to be so busy with loan applications, and this market it always lulls during the holiday anyway, typically, right? So hopefully the first of the year is going to bring us a little bit better rates and a lot of loan applications.
All these great 5-star brands to bring to our clients. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, right? That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, thank you for being here. We want to remind everybody that we as 10,000 Club are taking a 2-week holiday break just from the live stream. As usual, we're still here to help you and support you as a team and deal doctors. So we will see you back here live the first of the year. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, amazing holiday.
Absolutely. I echo that. Absolutely.
All right. All right.
Enjoy
See you,
those
Luke.
kids. Enjoy those
Yeah.
kids.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
All right. See ya.